Welcome to the Savage Nation. I have just come from a funeral, and I'm a little off base. I spent the morning at a monster turnout. 5,000 people turned out for a slain highway patrolman here in California. I felt I had to attend to show my respect, not only for the officer who was shot to death by a motorist, killed instantly, Officer Kenyon Youngstrom, but for all of those, not only in California, but around America, not only domestically in the highway patrols, in the police departments, in the state troopers, but for every person who serves in the U.S. military. I want you to understand that we Americans love you. We respect you. Never mind the yatter coming from the vermin in the media. Most of them are useless garbage. And without you, they wouldn't have the opportunity to be the useless garbage that they are. I went there today where there were 5,000 police officers and others. Only 2,500 people could get into that church, the Mission Church up in Vacaville, California. It was something to behold, to be frank with you. I never saw anything like it, not in my lifetime. It was in the middle, it was a big church, a mega church, as it were, in the middle of a field, a huge field, sort of in the middle of nowhere. But in the middle of nowhere, there was a lot going on inside that church. Here's a man who pulls a car over on an ordinary routine traffic stop. I think there was a missing front license plate. He pulls up, and within 15 seconds, the psychotic in the car pulls out a handgun and without any warning shoots the officer once in the neck, and that was the end of it. And then there's more to the story. His partner, who was in a separate car, Officer Tyler Carlton, who you'll hear from in a moment, has the wherewithal, after seeing this nightmare, to immediately rush to the right side of the car and kill the murderer with one shot, I assume. I don't know how many shots were fired, but thank God that he killed the killer instantly. God in heaven, if we had to go through a trial with the ACLU crying over his bad life and he took a drug, and I didn't want to hear it. There's no good news in this. There's only bad news, but there are some really good men. And I was on at the stand among California's best today who, we hear every day, the police this, the police that, their pensions are too high. Well, let me tell you something about their pensions. If it were not for them, there'd be chaos. You'd be living in a greater jungle than you're already living in. And so I say, if you want to cut pensions, cut the pensions of those who don't put their lives on the line every day so the rest of us can have a modicum of peace in ours. Yes, cut the pensions of the deadbeats in the post office. Cut the pensions of those in the departments who don't do very much. But don't cut the pensions of active duty military or anyone who's ever been in combat. Don't cut the pensions of any officer who's ever served on the line or on the streets. That's what I say. And I said it to the governor today, by the way, who was kind enough, frankly, to meet with me. I didn't ask for it. He didn't ask for it, but we ran into each other. We're on the opposite side of the political line. Governor Jerry Brown is a leftist. I'm a rightist, put it that way. But there was no politics there today. There was no right. There was no left. It was all about honoring the fallen officer today. And I invite you to go to my website, michaelsavage.com, and please make a donation to the CHP, the California Highway Patrol Widows and Orphans Fund, and or directly to the officer's family. He left a wife and 4 young children. And it's something to read it in the paper. You read it, cop killed. But when you walk into a church and then there's a little chapel in there and the wife sitting there with the kids, it's another story. But this goes on a regular basis for those of you who are in the military. Those of you who are in the military have to face these funerals far more often than you should. And this officer, as I say, was not only a father of 4 and a husband, but he was also a member of the U.S. Army Reserve. And I was very honored, frankly, to be allowed to stand among California's best today. And I invite you to make a donation. At the funeral, and I won't go on and on about this today, we'll talk about the rape